So I was supposed to be starting a PhD in August. I guess supposed to be starting a PhD in August, and now I am moving back in with my parents when I've not lived with them since I was 17 and started college. So let's talk about it. I did college and then I worked in research, did my master's degree and then worked. But I currently am on a contract because I was supposed to be starting a PhD in the fall. So I did not look for a long-term job and now I don't have one. So my contract for my current job, which I love, is up in November. And because of funding cuts, I've decided to put the PhD on hold. So I deferred my admission. I can go back in 2026 if I decide to, but until then, I am moving home and trying to figure out what's next. So it's very stressful because I feel like I'm going to feel like my life is on pause, but I'm trying to think of the positives. Like I can save money and I can figure out what I really want to do and where I really want to be before I make my next move. So it'll be okay.
I recently moved in with my parents and listen. Hello? Hello? Nobody here but me and the dog. And I love that for me. If you know, you know.
Hey, that period, if you ever have to go from living by yourself to living with your parents again for whatever reason, let's be honest here. We're going to be honest. It's a little bit embarrassing and it's annoying. Hey, I love my parents, but going from peace and quiet to having to hear them screaming, yelling, laughing, farting all the time, it can't be good for your mental health. And they nosy as hell. I couldn't walk in the house without nothing to eat without them saying, hey, what you got? Damn, I should have just ate my shit in the car. Can't put nothing in the refrigerator for you to eat for just yourself. My dad weed everything. I remember the final straw when I had to get the fuck out. I put a whole watermelon in the refrigerator. Mind you, it's all peak season, so I had to spend like $15 for it. My dad ate the whole thing and didn't give a damn. But there are good things about living with your parents. Hey, no rent. I was just helping them out just a little bit, but I was able to pay off my credit cards in full, save up a little bit of money and get my credit right. I did what I needed to do to get the fuck out of there. And I'm sure with the layoffs and this recession probably happening, it's going to be a lot more people moving back with their parents. And you know what? Do what you got to do. It's been years for me alone now, but hey, I remember that time with my parents like it was yesterday. I love my parents, but I'm going to love them from a distance going forward.
Moving back in with your parents, especially in a Black household, has got to be the jokes of all jokes. Legit. Ain't no peace. Ain't no teamwork. Ain't no parent, because clearly, you know, they had us for nothing. Like, why can't, like, Black people, like, actually come together and be a family like these other races? And I'm not saying other races probably don't experience that, but I know they don't experience with the Black child experience. If you know, you know. I'm not about to go into detail, but if you know how it's like moving back in. Home with your people. And in this economy, you would think they would be open to, like, you know, come home, save money, you know, pay. You gotta pay a bill or something. I don't mind that, but you know, let's come save money. Let's figure out right? Whatever. I don't care what age if I ever have a child, I don't care what age my child is. They have to come back home. Baby, come home. And just because you decide to come home, I'm not gonna cost you your peace or your sanity. Do your thing. You're grown. Save your money. You gotta pay at least one bill. But I want you to do what's best for you. You have a place to lay your head peacefully. Especially with a Black mom and the daughters. Ladies, raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about. Please, I know I'm not talking about. There's something with that, with moms and the daughters. Because are you a hater? Oh my God.
Packed my lovely Jeep, drove 13 hours, and never looked back. I guess part 2 of life after divorce, moving back in with your parents. So when I was in Houston, I was debating if I was going to leave my house and maybe go get an apartment and just start over there, or if I was going to actually Houston altogether and move back home with my parents. And I made the decision to leave Houston and move back with my parents because I do have 2 younger sisters, no family in Houston. So once I decided that I was actually going to move, the preparation began. So course, I had to deal with the house situation, pack. I was in a 2-story, 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath house that I packed up by myself. Packed up over the months. Like once I made the decision that I was going to leave, I just started packing. I'm like, whatever I'm not using every single day, pack it up. Do I need this? Do I want to keep this? Sell it. Get rid of it. Put it to the curb. Like just little by little, I started getting myself together to go. Packed up all the stuff in the U-Haul pods, had it shipped to where I am now, and then packed my lovely Jeep with as much as I could, got in my car, drove 13 hours, and never looked back. It was very bittersweet. I was hopeful for the future and very excited for what's to come. You know, I always think about like, what am I going to do? Who am I going to meet? You know, who's going to be my future partner? Who are going to be my future friends? Want to meet new friends? But it was also bitter because I was leaving behind the life that I knew, the house that I lived in, that I bought on my own when I was in my 20s, leaving my group of friends that I have grown to love and the bonds that I have formed with them. I had to, in a sense, leave that behind because I was leaving the state that we all lived in. And then moving back home with my parents was not the most exciting thing because I'm sure others can relate. You know, sometimes our parents are they're just a different breed, you know. We think differently. I think my generation, I'm a millennial, I'm 35, going on 36. We are breaking generational curses. We are not repeating the same cycles. We have a different mindset. We're more open. We're healing, you know, so we communicate differently. And we just have more of an open mind, and our parents, unfortunately, do not. So talking to them is like talking to a brick wall. Just being around them, the energy is just different. It's not very light. It's very heavy. It's very negative. It's very stagnant. That is the main word. It's very stagnant. Like they just repeat the same cycles that they have been repeating since I've been on this earth. And that's a long time to be doing the same shit. Like, are y'all not tired? You're not tired about bickering about the same stuff? No? So I was not looking forward to that, but you know, that's minor. You know, I can deal with it. I can go to my room and not be around them. I can leave the house. So
I'm 28 years old and I just moved back in with my mom and dad in their house. So I'm going to tell you guys why and talk on going backwards in your 20s. Some might ask, why did you move back after living on your own for 5 years and having a nice 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment to live in a little room that you do not fit in? Society definitely puts time limits and expectations on people that I don't believe in anymore. I did for a long time, and I feel like that's why I stayed living out on my own, because I felt like it would be going against everything to move back in with my parents. I also felt like it was going to make me look less accomplished if I said I lived out on my own for so long to just go back to my parents' house. But if I listened to the world's rules, then I would already be married right now with kids. That's not happening. I feel like this world pushes that you're less of a person if you don't do the steps that they tell you to do, and that is completely false. I think if we all took the pressure off of what you had to be by a certain age, we would all be less stressed and more at peace and more happy. When I tell y'all, I have not been this happy in such a long time by just listening to myself and God, not listening to whatever the world says I need to be. Everyone has their own timelines. Everyone has their own lifespans. They're not designed to be the same. We're comparing ourselves to everyone else. So unrealistic to compare yourself to people who have bought houses at such young ages in the past, because the past is not the present. My parents bought their house for $150,000. Today, their house is going for $600,000. I personally can't afford to have my own house right now, so I might as well live in my parents and help my family. I'm looking at this like a slingshot. I'm taking myself backwards to launch myself forward, and just by living here for the few months that I have, I've already saved thousands of dollars. I'm finally going to tell you guys though why I moved back in and what had happened that led me to this point. I know you guys have asked and I've avoided. So I'll tell you now. As you guys know, I lived in a garage apartment and I moved into it in February of 2023, which means my lease was officially up in February 2024. I felt so strongly when it was time to re-sign my lease that God told me, do not do that. I have better for you. Trust me. Did I trust him? No, hand me those papers, girl. We're signing. Yeah, I went against him. And I signed another 6 months. Mental health at that point was already on the floor. So I don't think staying alone and being by myself 24/7 helped that at all. It didn't. There would be days, 24-hour span where I wouldn't even open my mouth to talk. The way that I just watched myself declining that whole time because I was too stubborn. There is no such thing as going backwards because every single day you are evolving with age. Being in an apartment all day and not seeing life because I couldn't afford to was just hurting me. I feel like things had to get really bad in order for me to realize what was best for me. But also I did mention I woke up in the middle of the night and I left my apartment and I haven't been back since. Something terrifying did happen multiple times in my old apartment. Thankful that they did, because if it didn't happen that way, then I would still be stuck there. And I was still stuck in contract, so I was paying on my apartment's rent and I had to pay rent here. It's just my morals and my respect chose to pay rent here because I'm not gonna take up somebody's space and not give them anything. My grandma had just passed away as well in June, and I felt like this was the perfect time for me to ground myself again with my family. Plus, you guys don't understand like how nice it's been that if I want to have a conversation, I have 5 individuals living with me. And if I'm feeling bored, my family and I were like this. So I just get to go sit on their bed and hang out with them. I literally feel like I'm a kid again. Home cooked meals, have to be home by a certain time so my parents don't freak out. And we're collecting plushies. If you have been struggling or going back and forth and trying to figure out what the right choices are for you, pray about it. Ask God to show you. Ask yourself and stop listening to everybody else. Only you know yourself and the right choices for yourself. So excited to be back and to show you guys my crazy family. I'm gonna do so much more videos with them because I actually live here. I'm also going to do a bunch of videos on like the transitioning phase from living on your own to moving back home. I'm so thankful for all of you guys. I missed you guys and I can't wait to post again. If y'all stayed this long, leave a heart in the chat so I can go spam your page. Love you guys.
I am 29 years old and I just moved back in with my daddy. Actually, I can't even say back in with my daddy because I ain't lived with my daddy since I was like 2 years old. But I just moved in with my daddy. And I know a lot of people gonna be like, girl, you was way too old to be living with your dad. Like, I don't care. I literally have no bills. One thing my daddy do is he like to eat. So guess what? There's so much food in the house, bro. This man cleans. He cleans. He even ironed my clothes for church on Sunday. And he fills all of the cars up with gas once a week. The only thing I'm asking is why didn't I do this sooner? When I tell y'all living with my daddy is like healing my soul, healing my childhood trauma, healing my trauma with men. And the bar has been set high for my husband. Because if my dad cooks, cleans, and irons my clothes, you think I'm gonna be with a man that don't do the same? I moved out of my mother's home when I was 18 years old. I was very rebellious. I was very much on, I'm going to do whatever I want when I want to do it because I'm grown now. And for the past 10 years of my life, I have been in extreme survival mode. I was always looking for the next hustle. I was always getting the next job. I was always trying to find the next man with some money. I'm going to be honest with y'all. And living with my dad has literally showed me what it's like to be loved and cared for. There has been days that I wake up with anxiety, thinking that I need to go get some money or something. And God has to bring me back to reality. You ain't got nothing to do. Go read the Bible. Go work on that book I told you to write. Go and relax because you deserve a season of rest. And so I don't know who need to hear this. I don't know who is out there still paying $2,000 in rent right now, struggling. But baby girl, if you can, go live with your parents. Until my husband comes and finds me, you gonna catch me in my daddy's house. Amen. Amen.
A couple people have asked me what's it like living with my parents, or like how did the conversation go to live with my parents, or like what do they say to you about like your plans and your timelines. And to keep it simple, like they don't say anything. And it's not lost on me like how
fortunate and grateful and lucky I am to have parents that operate that way. But like, it sincerely was a conversation of like, hey, I'm thinking about stepping away from my job and moving back in so that I can have a little bit of breathing room to figure out like what I want to do next, instead of just like taking a short break and then having the pressure to figure out immediately like what I'm going to do next. And, you know, they were like, okay. And we had like little conversation about it, but nothing set in stone. And then literally one day I like walked in with my dog and I said, I have an announcement. And, you know, my parents are rather quiet people. They just stared at me and I said, my dog and I are moving in. And my dad goes, when? I go, in 7 days. And that was it. And since I've been there, there has been no questioning or rushing of like, when am I going to figure it out? How am I going to figure it out? I share with them like what I'm working on, what my journey is, but like, I think I'm going to get emotional. I'm really, really grateful that they have just like, you know, given me this space. I would not be able to do what I'm doing currently if it were not for them. And that is not lost on me in the slightest bit. So they annoy the hell out of me sometimes, but like that's parents what parents aren't annoying. But yeah. So I'm just really grateful. And that's like the reality of how that all came to be. So if you're in a season of thinking about moving back home and you have the opportunity to do it, or you have the opportunity for your kids to move back home, like extend the offer, be gracious. And I will chat with you all later. Doodles.
I have to move back home and I'm starting the process today. And not only am I stressed because I don't know how to move, but the culture shock is going to be crazy because the first time I moved back home was right after college, and I was an irritable mess for weeks. I remember the first night I moved back home, I went out and my mom was like, come back home at this time. And I was like, are you okay? She was talking about come home at 12, girl, I'll see you at 4. The fuck? I just turned 24 years old and I really thought I would be like out of the house permanently by this time. But, you know, it's fine. Like, at the end of the day, I'm very grateful that, you know, I have supportive parents who are always willing to take me back in, even have the option to move back in rent free. Like, I'm so grateful for that. But at the same time, it's like, girl, I don't know, man. Nobody has asked me where I am, what I'm doing, or when I'm coming back in 5 months. Like, I can leave the house without a trace. Nobody's asking me, where are you going? Who are you going with? When are you coming back? Nobody's like, oh, are you working again? You just worked yesterday. You just worked this time. Oh, you haven't worked in a couple days. How's the job search going? Oh, I don't miss it. I'm not excited about it. And I know they're going to be breathing down my neck. Like, how many jobs have you applied to today? Brother, like. So here's my room. I don't know how to turn this around, but yeah, this is my room. This is my bed. This is my beautiful vanity. Thankfully, all of this, like most of this furniture is not mine, so I don't have to move like this big ass bed and like the vanity and the fridge. This is not mine. TV's not mine. Shit, none of the shit in here is mine. So moving should be easy, but yeah, that's mine. Bookshelf is mine, and I'm sad. I'm gonna miss this room a lot.
Moving back home to live with your parents in your 20s needs to be normalized and not thought of as something that is embarrassing, because everybody's doing it, especially in this economy. It's a tough job market. Everything's expensive. And just because you did move out when you were 18 or 21 to go pursue college or a career, and for whatever reason you ended up back home, do not look at that as you taking a step back. Do not look at that as failure. Do not look at that as you are regressing in life. Take a look at it from a lens of opportunity and think, oh, I get to spend time with my parents while they're still here on this earth, because one day they won't be. 2, look at it as an opportunity to maybe heal relationships or, amend things with your family if, they once went south. And then 3, it's an opportunity to save money. It's an opportunity to realign yourself and focus on what you want to do. It's just a way for you to fucking lock in and realign. Save some money, get your head right, get your mental right, go to the gym, get your physique right. Stay there for a couple months, lock in, bunker down, have fun with your family, and then figure out what you want to do in life. I'm 25 and I moved out of my parents' house when I was 21, lived on my own for 2 years, moved back home for a year and a half, and now I'm 25 and I'm moving out again next week. This is literally my last week living with my parents again before I move into my new apartment on Saturday. And I have mixed feelings about it. I'm going to miss my family and my parents like crazy. I'm going to miss not paying rent and all the things that come with, being close and at home. But I'm so excited for this new and next opportunity. Just because you move back in does not mean you cannot move back out. Enjoy the time with your family, realign, and figure out what's next. I love you. Goodbye.
I didn't intentionally not tell the internet about this, but I saw a video of this girl talking about how she still lived with her parents, and I realized that you hear about people like moving in with their parents after college, but you don't really hear about people who like went off on their own after college, like got the apartment, got the big girl job, and then everything blew up in flames and they had to come back home, because that was me. I left college, I had a full career, I had an apartment, I lived in a different city, and then that ended up in disaster, and I went back home for 2 years, and 2 years of therapy later, I was better. Essentially what happened, I was a chemistry major, and I did not want to do that, but I mistook being good at something for thinking that I should have a career in that. I was also the eldest daughter and a STEM like GT or gifted and talented honors kid, whatever you want to call it. So therapy was definitely needed. And so I got a career in chemistry as a research and development chemist in a pharmaceutical company when I left school, and then slowly died inside. I was a shell of a human. And a event happened that I said, okay, I'm out. I quit my job. I gave my apartment to somebody else. And then I moved back in with my parents with no money, no plan, no career. So as an overachiever, that was awesome. Changed my shorts because we're about to go out. But essentially, I stayed there for 2 years. And I'm so glad that I did it. And I would have, if then me knew that I was talking about this now, she'd be like, oh my God, like, don't tell them. But I think it's very important because I was so embarrassed at the position that I was in, and there was no need to be embarrassed. I didn't want to tell anybody. I didn't want to tell anybody that I was lost, that I had screwed up. What I didn't, really, like, I didn't want to tell them that I didn't know what my career path was or what my future was, because hello, I was 21, 22. Like, of course I didn't know what was going on. And I did a lot wrong, and one of them was leaving college thinking that I couldn't go back home and thinking that I had to I literally made an ultimatum with myself that if I did not walk across that stage with a career, no matter what it was, or if it made me happy, then like, I didn't really have a consequence. I just knew I couldn't do it. And that's not true. I wish I would have spent a couple months after college learning about who I was, because I did not know who I was or what my value was outside of getting a good grade, because I was really, really good at the academic system and I was not accustomed to the adult system. And now I have, it took a little bit, but I figured out a career that I love. I then built an accidental career that I love, which is amazing. I am in a much better financial position than I was before. I live in a house with my husband, who is awesome and stayed with me through that entire thing. Not that he didn't want to stay, but he supported me and was so awesome during that entire moment of my life. And now we get to reap the benefits of me taking time for myself and me realizing who I was and what I wanted to do and being okay with that, no matter what other people thought, which was a big step. That was a lot. That I needed several years to learn that. Anyway, if you're in it now, like you're at your parents' house or you're in a place where you are like, oh my gosh, I've messed up my path, like whatever, you're fine. You're really fine. You're going to feel like really lost for a little bit, but that lost space is right before the sunshine. Like, I'm telling you, what's on the other end is worth the time that you're taking for yourself now. And that's exactly what you're doing. So I love you very much. If you want me to go into more detail about this, I have a podcast about it. Oh, also I have a podcast called Mutual Friends, where I spill my heart out, but I can also do that here, or you can listen, whatever. I love you very much. Mwah.
So I'm moving out of my apartment today. I'm moving back in with my parents. So I wanted to talk about why I decided to do that. I simply just don't know where I want to be right now. My parents moved from California to Charleston. They bought a house here. So I didn't really see a point in continuing to pay rent when they're 15 minutes away and I could live for free here. Just being in a house with your family and my dog is something that brings me so much happiness, and I can already tell that my nervous system is so much more relaxed being with them because I just was not happy. I want to focus on traveling, I want to focus on investing, and I want to honestly explore a bunch of different cities because I feel like without doing that, I don't know 100%. I want to be 100% on where I'm going to settle down or where I'm going to live. Now, none of that is cheap, and especially in this economy, I truly just want to save as much as I can. Instead of spending thousands of dollars on rent a month, I can save while living with my parents and travel and explore new cities and really figure out what it is I want to do and where I want to go. The biggest reasons, though, that I have flexibility is because of my job and is because I'm an online student because of how much I travel for work. I don't physically have to be anywhere, which can honestly be a blessing and a curse at the same time. It's like you can be anywhere, but how do you actually decide where you should go or what the best option is? I wanted to give myself some time to figure that out. Moving back in with Middle Eastern parents, I know some people can relate to this, was a scary thought at first. Independence, privacy, personal space, non-existent. Really have grown together. I'm not the same kid I was when I was 16 or 18 moving out, and they're not the same parents they were when I was 16 or 18. We figured out a balance that works, and that comes with hard conversations, that comes with talking about what you need. I feel really lucky to have such a great support system and a home filled with so much love that it's a place I'm always welcome to come back to. Anyone who is thinking about moving back in with your parents or hasn't because they feel shame, you should not feel any shame about moving back in with your parents. And I don't know why people shame others for doing that. One of the best decisions you can ever make if it's something that you truly want to do, and if you have the means to. And it's okay to not have it all figured out yet. I don't think there should be a specific timeline on things, and I feel like nowadays, especially with social media, it can feel like there has to be or that there is one. Switch your thinking to only doing what's best for you and your life, because you're only living for you and nobody else, and you should not make decisions based on what other people are doing, because what's best for them might not be what's best for you. I'm so excited that when I'm ready and I know where I want to go and I can hopefully buy a place or invest in a place, then I'm going to be ready and confident in my decision. Still doing all the things I could do before. I'm just saving money. Everyone just has to live for themselves and do what's best for them. And this is what's best for me right now. So grateful that I was able to live with my sister for a year. We grew so much and we learned so much, and I'm sure we're going to live together in the future at some point. Maybe I'll stay in Charleston. Maybe I'll fall in love with it and I'll really like it. Maybe I won't. There's a part of me that really gravitates towards bigger cities like New York, Paris, Dubai, let's say. I would love to live there again. That's all I think.
One of the worst things about living on your own and then moving back in with your parents is that you're in a place that just doesn't feel like yourself anymore. And whether you move back into your childhood bedroom or the spare bedroom, I'm sure you feel the same way about this. And don't get me wrong, I'm very grateful that my parents even let me move back in. This is not me being ungrateful in any way. They're very gracious for that. This isn't even my childhood home. I moved here for the last year of high school, and then I went to college, and then after college I went to Austin. And in my room, it's just like a hodgepodge of different items from those eras of my life in the past 10 years. This isn't even my mattress. This is my parents' mattress from before I was even born, okay? But going from a place... Did I just spit on myself or did something drip? Going from a place where you can truly be yourself and decorate it however you want, and it just feels like home, and then coming back to this, it just doesn't feel right. Like the vibe is off. And I've changed so much in the past 10 years, even the past 2 years alone. And my decor and style have drastically changed as well. It keeps changing. But just the vibe feels off. It just feels off. And I've tried like rearranging furniture, getting rid of some furniture, but it's not even worth it for me to just completely redecorate it, because I know I'm only going to be here temporarily. So for now, I'm just stuck in a place that just doesn't really feel like myself. And it sucks a little bit. It is what it is, I guess. Again, I'm very grateful that I'm even allowed to be here for the time being. But I guess what I'm saying is I just miss having my own place. And it really is a luxury. It really is.
I moved back in with my parents about a month ago, and I must say I am so chill. Like, life got so expensive, you guys. Like, I was paying like $1,300 for my apartment. Even though I liked my apartment, I was like apartment poor. Like, I was not able to like really decorate it. I wasn't able to do like a lot of stuff for real because I was literally trying to keep up with my rent. And it was just so overwhelming for me. I just made a decision to like leave, and I wasn't getting evicted or anything. Like I literally just would like made a decision to leave, and it had to be like the best decision. I feel so much like less stress. Like I sleep good now. I'm less stressed out. I'm finally able to like pay off some debt. Cause that was like another thing. I was like staying in my apartment, but I was like literally just paying my expenses. I was not able to pay my debt on like anything. Like I'm so good. I paid off one of my debts in like just 30 days now. And it's just a big reminder. Like I plan on just staying here for like a year, you know, at the most or whatever. But I must say, like, I am so happy now. Like I can finally go and get like a new car, whatever. But I would rather pay like my parents a little something than me pay like $1,300 a month and not be able to like really do much else. But anyway, like, I don't know. I just feel so good. So if you're like debating, you know, like staying with your people or whatever, like in this economy, like just if you got somewhere you can go and like they're cool with it and you can get your life together, like why not? This, like yesterday, I spent $53 at the grocery store and barely got anything. Like I literally got like 10 items and I was $53 and they weren't even big items. This economy is crazy.